everybody.
Happy New Year.
Let's do better than that. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year!
First Sunday of the new year, January 3rd. Nice to have you here. The title of the talk, A New Year from the Time of Christ. So I want to focus in on that. We think about the new year frequently, but A Course in Miracles is clear that the new year has significance because it has come out of the time of Christ, which is actually the Christmas celebration. And before I get going, I want to welcome everybody who is watching this on YouTube. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching.
Hi.
Tune in every week as we put new talks on YouTube. And there will be a time for you later on to click and give a donation to the Community Miracle Center, which of course we would really appreciate because it allows us to continue our healing work. Course in Miracles says the sign of Christmas is a star, a light in darkness. See it not outside yourself, but shining in the heaven within, and accept it as the sign the time of Christ has come. So I just wanted to be clear that when A Course in Miracles talks about the time of Christ, which it does in several places, that it is actually talking about Christmas. The juxtaposition of the phrase and Christmas is really clear. So the time of Christ, when A Course in Miracles refers to it, actually means Christmas. In here it says, let no despair darken the joy of Christmas, because the time of Christ is meaningless apart from joy. So again, being very clear about that the time of Christ is actually Christmas. And then it says, this is the weekend in which a new year will be born from the time of Christ. So this actually is the weekend when a new year is born from the time of Christ. So we are actually in that moment that A Course in Miracles is talking about. And it's important, I think, to embrace that and to really think about a new year and what it means to all of us and what it's going to mean for us. How do we approach this new year, especially coming out of this time when hopefully we have realized that the Christ energy, the Christ soul, the Christ being has been born again within us. And the time of Christ, of course, is a celebration. We celebrate that the Christ energy, the Christ being, our Christed nature has been infused in us, of course, from our creation. But during Christmas we have a time to really celebrate that and embrace it with a new fervor, possibly. And of course it is the entire holiday season. It's Hanukkah and it's Kwanzaa and it's Christmas. It's all the things that we celebrate at the end of the calendar year to really embrace and reinforce that there is something within us that is divine, that is perfect, and that we get strength from and energy from, and it is always there for us to tap into. I love how the very beginning of the year, for some of us, starts with an amazing fireworks display. So for those of us who were brave and hardy, who went to the fireworks this year, thank you for doing that, and thank you for being there with me and helping me get there, because I could have easily just gone to bed and not trekked down to Pier 14. But it was great. It was great to be down there. It was great to see those fireworks. And I actually was able to video a really good high-definition video with my iPhone of the finale of the fireworks. So it's sitting on the computer in the office. Anybody who would like to see it, it's a minute and 45 seconds long. I would love to show it to you after the service. It's really lovely. And we'll put it up on YouTube, and you can click on it and watch the 1 minute and 45 second video of the finale of the San Francisco fireworks, January 1st, 2016. I think it's important to just remember that the holiday season is supposed to be a celebration. It's really supposed to be a celebration. And A Course in Miracles has something about celebrating. I think it's missed by a lot of people. You have to remember that in Jesus' time, when they wanted to celebrate something, especially if they wanted to celebrate returning people, maybe armies that had just been successful in battle, they cut down palm fronds and they waved them in front of the returning armies in celebration of their, hopefully, of their victories. And so when Jesus rides into Jerusalem on that week before he eventually gets crucified, but on that Holy Week, they're celebrating him, and they cut down palm fronds and they wave them and possibly throw them after he passes or right before he passes on the feet so he can walk over them. And that's supposed to be celebration. I think we forget that. I know when I was a child, that aspect of Palm Sunday was really not clear to me. I never knew what the association with palms were, and that it was actually supposed to be a celebration. Actually, when we got palms, which were actually little reeds, we were very somber about it. We were thinking about the crucifixion that was coming. It was quite a somber thing. But Palm Sunday is supposed to be a huge celebration of victory. And so, Course in Miracles says this week begins with palms and ends with lilies, the white and holy sign, the sign of God is innocent. So they're actually talking about Easter there. But I think it's important to remember that we move from celebration to something transcendent, or from something, or to something new. That when you're doing something new, it's important to celebrate and thus, in a way, complete what has gone before. So that's what hopefully we did with our holiday celebration. And now that that is complete, we can build upon that, something new for the new year. So when you're thinking about the new year, remember it's built upon your accomplishments from the previous year that you've just hopefully celebrated. I do want to make one thing clear. It's a little pet peeve of mine. That the time of Christ is about the Christ nature being born within us. It's not really about the time of Jesus, though we sometimes associate, or the society associates, Jesus' birth with this time of year. But of course, in Miracles is really clear that it's about the Christ being born within us, and I think that's important. And I think it's important for A Course in Miracles students to practice not confusing the words Jesus with Christ. That's the way society, and that's the way traditional Christianity has done it from years. The words become actually synonymous. When people are referring to Jesus, they say Christ, meaning Jesus. But I think we as A Course in Miracles students could serve ourselves and serve others who we talk to better if we really got clear on the fact that Jesus is not synonymous with Christ. And when A Course in Miracles says Christ, it's not really referring to Jesus. And so if we want to refer to Jesus, we should say Jesus and not say Christ. So I'm going to be on that this year. I've mentioned this before. And especially for us here at the Community Miracle Center, can we be aware of that? We kind of really think about that and try not to mix those words up. I know some people, especially people who study the way of mastery, have now gotten in the habit of referring to Jesus as Jeshua. And I think that is fine. I understand what they're saying, and maybe that helps them get that straight. I am not one who embraces that term, maybe because I haven't studied the way of mastery or some of those other teachings. I still like to refer to Jesus as Jesus. Seems okay with me. It's okay with A Course in Miracles, so it's okay with me. If A Course in Miracles, I think, wanted us to refer to Jesus as Jeshua, it would have had something about it in the Course. And it's not, but I'm fine about other people doing it. I'm fine about other people studying whatever else they want to study to help them get to the truth. I am reminded, though, of a statement in A Course in Miracles which says, you are studying a unified thought system in which nothing is lacking that is needed and nothing is included that is contradictory or irrelevant. So do whatever you want to do, but if calling Jesus Jeshua was actually really important for A Course in Miracles students, there'd be something about it in A Course in Miracles. Because anything that we might need is in A Course in Miracles, because the thought system is not lacking anything. So that's my just a little statement for that. Course in Miracles does say other things about the new year. It says, so will the year begin in joy and freedom. There is much to do, and we have been long delayed. Accept the holy instant as this year is born, and take your place so long left unfulfilled in the great awakening. So, contrary to, I think, what many spiritual people think, that being spiritual is in some way a relaxing and going within and really realizing that there's nothing that we need to do. Course in Miracles is pretty clear, I think, that there's a lot we need to do. There is much to do, and we have been long delayed. So hopefully we won't use our spirituality just to delay us longer. And sometimes I see that happening. For me, being spiritual and doing this discipline is a real call to action. It's not just a meditative thing or a retreat from the world. It's a real engagement with the world, but in a different sort of way, in a very spiritually guided way. Some people like to focus in on A Course in Miracles when it says, I need do nothing, and I understand that. But they really do need to read that section thoroughly, because at the end of that section it says, this quiet center in which you do nothing will remain with you, giving you rest in the midst of every busy doing on which you are sent. So we need do nothing from this quiet, calm center, from the Christed center, possibly. But then, from that calm center, we are sent on many busy doings. So we need to get that clear. And if you're going to study A Course in Miracles, you need to read it all, and not just read the phrases that seem to resonate with you and forget, I believe, what it's actually saying. In the previous statement, it talked about the Great Awakening. It capitalizes those things. In another place, it talks about the Great Crusade, which I actually think is the same thing. It's just using slightly different terms. And this is in chapter 1. It says, as you share my inability to tolerate lack of love in yourself and others, you must join the Great Crusade to correct it. So we have to join this Great Crusade. It doesn't say we should join the Great Crusade. It says we must join the Great Crusade. It really isn't an option. And then another word in that phrase really jumped out at me today. It says, as you share my inability to tolerate lack of love. It's that word inability. That as we proceed on this path and on this training, we actually become unable to tolerate lack of love. It's not an option. We just actually can't do it. We can't tolerate lack of love. We must do something to correct it. So I think we need to understand that, both in ourselves and what we see that seems to be outside of ourselves. Doing this discipline is going to make us unable to tolerate lack of love. When we see lack of love, we must do something about it. And then it says something interesting, which of course is in the original edition and in the earlier edits, but not in the Foundation for Inner Peace edition. It says, the slogan for the crusade is listen, learn, and do. So if you just study the Foundation for Inner Peace edition, you don't know that the Great Crusade actually has a slogan. So the slogan for the crusade is listen, learn, and do. Listen to my voice, learn to undo error, and do something to correct it. Then it says something interesting. The first two are not enough. It's not enough just to listen and learn. The real members of my party are active workers. So the real members of Jesus' group of people are active workers. They're active doers. And again, if you just study the Foundation for Inner Peace version, you don't have that line that says the real member of my party are active workers. So maybe you didn't get that message. But if you study some of the earlier edits, then that is in there, and hopefully you get the message that being in A Course in Miracles student is a doing. And as we are here in the beginning of the year, I think it's good to understand that and get clear for ourselves what our doing is going to be in this year. How are we going to participate in the Great Crusade this year? What will we do to heal the world? There's many statements in A Course in Miracles that reinforce this. And I'm quoting a lot today because it's the beginning of the year and I think we should get clear on what the teaching actually says. One of them that's always been really important for me, and it actually was the impetus and the energy upon which Reverend Larry and I formed the Community Miracle Center. And it was this one. It says, "Let us not rest content until the world has joined your changed perception. Let us not be satisfied until forgiveness has been made complete. And let us not attempt to change our function. We must save the world. For we who made it must behold it through the eyes of Christ, that what was made to die can be restored to everlasting life." So we must save the world. It's not an option. It's not something we could choose to do or not choose to do. If we don't choose to do it, we're just delaying and we're just stalling, and the world just waits for us to finally make the choice, which is inevitable. We have to save the world because the world is us. And if we don't save the world, we don't get saved. So if we don't bring peace to the world, we don't have peace ourselves. And as A Course in Miracles students here at the beginning of the year, I think it's important to really embrace that, ask for guidance about that, put that on top of the celebration of our Christed nature, which we have just gone through, realize how powerful we are, realize how eternal we are, celebrate that, remember the celebration of that, and upon that, ask the Holy Spirit, ask Jesus, or ask a Jeshua, if that is your ilk, ask them, what would you have me do here in the new year upon the foundation of the celebration of my Christed nature? What would you have me do to save the world? And that's my charge for myself and for all of you this morning. Ask yourself, what would you have me do to save the world this year? I am about it. I am here. I must do it. I have no choice. I won't be happy until I do it. I won't be at peace until I do it. I have celebrated how powerful and omnipotent I am. So let's get on with it. What would you have me do with this power and this omnipotence that I have? I'm going to end with what Reverend Peter read, which was the CMC mission statement. And I've been reading the mission statement a lot lately because with all the ACIM2 students who start ACIM2, which is our ministerial training program at the beginning of the year, it's right there on the agreements. And we read it, we talk about it, because if they're going to become a minister in the church, they have to be able to connect with our mission statement. If they don't connect with that mission statement, probably inappropriate for them to become a minister in this church. Because our mission statement is all about the Great Crusade. Our mission statement is all about listening, learning, and thus doing something. So I ask you all just to sit quietly for a moment while I read this and take it in. Because if you connect with this mission, then join the Community Miracle Center. Be a part of it. Participate with us like many of you do. And understand that just by you being here, just by you sitting in this room this morning, just by you maybe watching this video, you are participating in the Great Crusade to save the world, because that's what the Community Miracle Center is about. The Community Miracle Center is a worldwide community for anyone who is interested in the spiritual teaching A Course in Miracles. We are on the Great Crusade in learning how to forgive the world that we are in. We do that by listening to the guidance from Holy Spirit or our higher power, learning about true cause and effect, and actively doing things to shift the errors in perception. Our mission is to transform the world we see into a reflection of heaven and manifest the real world. We do this locally, nationally, and internationally. If those thoughts resonate within you, then it's great that you're here. It's great that you're listening, because that's what we're about. Find ways to participate with us, join us, help us save the world. We will do that collectively with a much greater energy and a much greater force than any of us could ever do it alone. Join the CMC in whatever way seems appropriate to you. Thank you. That's my talk.